Yeah? Thank you. Okay. So this is a climate model. Climate, energy, whole system. I'm going to do this really fast, by the way, because, again, we're limited on time. So bear with me. It's not the exact point, and we can spend lots of time on this simulation afterwards, or it's all online. This is called En-ROADS, made by an NGO that I worked at prior to coming to Tufts University called Climate Interactive. Global model. On the right left-hand graph, you've got the x-axis is basically today until 2100. That is all the fossil fuels globally spent to burn energy and make energy. Excuse me, and it's all the other sources. Green is renewables. The middle graph, sort of there, is greenhouse gas emissions. The right number is temperature in 2100, should we burn all of that. So, again, roughly speaking, the architecture is if you use all the energy on the left graph, you get the emissions in the middle and the temperature on the right. Make sense so far? Okay. Below, activities. What do you want to do? We've got solutions in promoting renewables. We've got supply side sectors. We've got transport. The entire economy's here. This is the interactive part. I'm going to pick on Colleen because I know your name. Colleen, what do you want to do? You want to, sorry, go to bed? Well, we can't go to sleep on the job. The world is counting on you, Colleen. This is the moment. Step up. What should all of our global leaders do? This is a global model. You can fiat anything. Anything on the bottom. There's all those sliders. Pick your favorite policy. Do you want to? Are you a supply side? You're adaptation, I think so. Maybe that's not. But we've got some adaptation. We've got land use change. We've got forestry. Nature-based solutions. Great. Okay. So I'm going to kind of click it in the middle of like all of the effort. The sliders, roughly speaking, are sort of like maximum. The globe could do. So I'm going to kind of click in the middle. Of your just intuition, how much is temperature going to change? 3.3 today. Are we going to get it below 3? Are we going to get it 2.5? We're going to get, is it going to go up? By 2100. So the temperature on the 3.3 is 2100. Only the one you've chosen. Just take a guess. 3. Okay, you think it's going to get 3. Who here thinks that nature-based solutions are going to get us to 3 degrees? Approximately, plus or minus a little bit, 1/10 of a degree, we'll say. Okay, we've got a few hands that are willing to be, okay. Who here thinks it's going to be, like no change, I'll say, like 3.2 to 3.3? Colleen's changing her vote, so she tricked all the first people. Okay, and who thinks it's going to be below 3? Anyone think it's, great, thank you for, so 1 million trees. This was the whole thing, right? Weren't we supposed to do 1 million trees? That was the paper out of the Swiss university. This was going to be the big solution. Okay, let's do it. So 1 million trees, nature-based solutions. This is including a variety of technologies. 3.2. Okay? So let's just really quick watch that. We're not just going to, so we can do kind of the replay mode where we're like turning on the policies. We can dig into it. I can bring up, forestry graphs. We've got lots of different, things happening on farmland area and forestry, and that's probably not the best solution because that's another lever. Excuse me. But just going back to the thing, mainly it didn't click. Let's do one other policy on this model, and then I'll keep moving. So, do you have a question or? Okay. Okay, great. Volunteer. Great. Yeah. What do you want to do?
Increase our energy efficiency.
Energy efficiency. Do you have a particular sector? Because with this, I have it 2 energy efficiency. And 1 in transport and 1 in buildings. Do you have a preference?
In buildings.
Buildings, great, okay. And I'm going to ask you the similar question. How big of a solution is this? Quite big? So do you want to put a number on it? We've got a 1/10 of a degree from nature-based solutions. To 2.5. Okay, but not, and this is like pretty significant effort. You think we're going to get at least sort of a 1/2 degree of solution. Okay, 1/2 degree. We're doing votes again. Anyone? Okay, how about a 1/4 degree, like 0.2, 0.3? A few more. Okay, we'll go there. So we're in buildings. That's this section out here. We can electrify them, of course, and we can do like, a fair amount of effort. So that's another 2/10 of a degree. Again, I'm just going to replay that. That is combination of policies, by the way. That is nature-based and building inefficiencies. Okay. The reason we're doing this, now I'm stepping back from the actual simulation, is one of the things that is important with simulators is packaging the data that you've all worked so hard, that the rest of the world works so hard for, in an accessible, interactive way. And I've emphasized and tried to demonstrate at least two different things here. One, I'm asking Colleen, and apologies, I don't know your name, but this gentleman over here, what they want to see. What's their favorite policy? What's the favorite thing that they're, like, what do they really want to do? And this is a way of, it's been phrased by our other colleagues and presenters even today about meeting people where they are, what their interest is, trying to find like a way, an entry point. The second thing, this is now totally like stepping back from the science and the policies, like a pedagogical thing. By getting people to state their priors, what they believe, how much temperature change, how big of a solution, it creates a learning opportunity for them to see something counterintuitive. And I'll say, if I didn't ask that question, and this is, by the way, has been proven, we've actually published papers on these type of interactive tools and the effectiveness of engagement and changing mindsets and things like that. If I didn't get someone to state their priors sort of out loud on paper, when they see the results, they're like, oh yeah, that's exactly right. There wasn't that learning moment. There's no way to improve their mental models about how the system works. I'm going to show another model, one that I'm also excited to share with you. This model is called the Energy Policy Simulator. It is a national scale model, so just switching mindsets here. We're now from the global, what could hypothetically happen. I'm going to click into the United States version, but as you can see, they're covering emissions from around the world. I'm excited to share a slide later. This is fully sourced, open documentation. I can share that also with you. But one of the things that you'll see, once it loads, hopefully my internet is working. There we go, apologies. Is that this one is definitely sectorial based. So graph is emissions, by the way, just the main thing there. We can bring up two graphs and other stuff, but I'm just gonna try to make this demo. This key thing here is we've got transport sector, we've got building sector, we've got industry. So these are national policies that people would consider doing. And so just to read a couple, because I apologize for this, the size, we've got solar subsidies, we've got F-gas destruction and production in the industry sector, we've got carbon capture and sequestration applied to different technologies, we've got low carbon steel manufacturing, we've fuel economy in the transport sector, we've got EV subsidies. So just to hear these things, we've got regulations, financial fiscal policies, and various other ways to hit targets. The reason I'm showing this model is because another key thing that I want to emphasize is that you need to have in your model the policies that are being discussed. The reason this list is what it is at least it started as a very US-centric model, but those policies are because those are the different types of things that are being discussed in the ways that the IRA and other policies are actually being used. We have fuel economy standards. Those are something we can ratchet up. It's not a price mechanism. And so many of the models we have, for better or for worse, have to kind of get to the money. And sometimes you can't show policies in the way that the policymakers are thinking. So again, it's meeting people where they are and trying to connect with people. And just to give a short demonstration, if we wanted to, my boss, who started the Climate Policy Lab, loves fee-baits. Fee-bait is the idea that you would basically create a fee and then rebate it back to the consumer so that you're kind of creating this cash flow. And so we can see, I hope this works because I haven't done it in a while. Oh, that's a very minor policy, but it's a great fiscal tool for solutions. We can look at building component electrification and ratchet that up. And there's a lot of detail and various things around which parts of it are electrifying. And so here we have building electrification, not efficiency, but we have building electrification creating emissions. So again, you're also seeing that we're getting policies and a combination of different policies that can be implemented in the government and by government. The other thing you're noticing in both these simulators is that they run fast. These are full models. running in the browser, JavaScript translated over, doing full economic modeling at various levels. The global model is running an entire energy economy model, and it's running a climate model, and I didn't show things, but we've got some form of land use sector in there. There's trees and growth and all this stuff. This model is running an energy sector, a transport sector. It's making choices based on least cost, not kind of optimization. It can produce a duck curve for your solar. They added recently in version 4 kind of if I can find it fast. Hopefully that'll look good. Yep. So we've got like hourly forecasts and some grid stability stuff. So this is all running kind of appropriately in the scale that's useful. Is it going to do dispatch planning? No. Is it going to do all these other things? No. But we're going to get to that. So are we good so far? Steve, how much time do I have? Another 5 minutes. Okay, good. Well, I'm going to zip through the slides. Okay, so we've done that. We've done that. Okay, so I'm coming from the Fletcher School, which is the public policy school at Tufts University. We run a graduate school of just master's and PhD students and postdocs. Been around for over 90 years, and we focus primarily on a lot of international politics, a lot less on domestic use. So that's, I'll just say, and half of our student population is international, so it's a very, very awesome group. I work at the Climate Policy Lab. We do a variety of different comparative policy stuff, like more traditional comparative policy things, and like I mentioned the green growth industrialization work. But our motto is sort of to see which policies work, which don't, and why. I lead the climate modeling and policy section of our work. We are working in a variety of countries. You do see the US here, but actually it's not hashed with the orange because we don't have a lot of government interaction. But the places where it's hashed is where we're doing analysis and we actually have partnerships in those countries. And you'll see South Africa is on here. And I've been fortunate enough to work with the PCC and UCT and other universities. I'm excited to make more connections. We have partnerships all around. And the key thing that I wanted to share with this, and then we apply, and the two models I've shown you are really ways to try to break down this black box concept. So if you kind of think about it and step back from a decision point, a busy politician, a busy political person, a business private sector person, is you really are trying to make choices, and you kind of can do two things. You can kind of do your gut, which is like how I think most people who aren't domain experts, people are making decisions about stuff they didn't go to school for, that kind of thing. And they've got to kind of go with something, their worldview, and it may be wrong because their mental model is just not quite right, like all of ours are wrong. Or they're maybe using a black box. So maybe they're paying for consultants or they're doing some other analysis and they're looking at the results and they're trying to make, let's say, data-driven decisions. And we think there's a sweet spot in the middle where you can create interactive tools and you can start delivering insights to policymakers, busy people, with that improve their mental models that allow them to make decisions. I use system dynamics for that approach. Both of the models that I just demonstrated with you are systems frameworks, system dynamics models. It's just an approach. You can do this with other tools. But that's the kind of idea that system dynamics and systems thinking really can help build intuition and meet people where they're at. And we find that it's a really effective way to engage people. Another thing that's really important beyond these specific tools is the process. So I give one example of a process. That the Climate Policy Lab has something called a policy gap analysis. And what it has been doing, and what we've done in many of these countries, is done a three-step process. And you'll notice the first two have nothing to do with modeling. The first one is a national inventory of policies. So we work with local partners to develop an inventory of all of the climate change-related policies, those with climate in the title, and those that are reducing emissions some other way. Could be a fuel economy standard, it could be some other sectorial policy. We then will do a survey of experts with knowledge of that country to basically say what's working and what's not. Looking for gaps. That's the key thing about this. This is when we start to realize the experts are not mentioning various things. One example is like carbon tax when we went to India was never even mentioned by anyone. And when we added that to the model and the analysis, it actually was really important because India, like so many economies, has a fuel tax. So if they were ever to decarbonize, the government runs out of money. And so they needed some mechanism to offset the loss of fuel tax revenue. And so actually a carbon tax was fiscally useful for them as they started modeling that. And that's something, by the way, the fiscal and the government books flows are also in that energy policy simulator, that second model that I showed. And then the final thing is using the EPS model, the energy policy simulator model, for doing analysis of decarbonization pathways. And we develop scenarios and we do various analysis of, which policies are work, what's the expert policy, the ones that maybe came out of the survey, and then can we go farther? And the exciting news is that the South African version of the EPS model is close. I've been working on it and trying to get it out the door for a while in data issues, but we are getting closer, and I'm very excited to, and I'm happy to share and show that version of the model at some point with people here, and definitely talk about it in the future. So, and I'm probably gonna have to skip a lot, but I will go through some principles. You've heard me say the important ones. I'll just say instant real-time things, pedagogical states and principles. There's interactivity, delivering things, meeting people where they're at. I've tried to hit those already, but I do believe that people should model problems, not systems. Even though I use system dynamics, I think the important thing is you don't know where the model boundaries should be if you don't have a good research question using academic speak, but if you don't know the policy problem, if you're actually working with policymakers. The policy process is really important. I think that first one is key, piggybacking off the idea that you should define your problem, but I would encourage all of us to talk to policymakers and stakeholders to define the problem. And something we've heard before is that you should get metrics from people. This has been brought up yesterday, and I think also today, because if you don't have the metrics that the stakeholders care about, it doesn't matter your analysis. So that's obviously could be jobs, it could be land use, it could be et cetera. And then the key thing is also include those policies. So as I showed in that second simulator, we included, the EPS model includes policies because they're what the policy conversation needs. It's how to evaluate things. I also encourage you to think about your communication strategy. That's something we've heard about yet, this meeting. But I think it's really important as you do a project and even ask for grant money is to think about delivery. Because research shows that showing people research doesn't work, which is another really important reason, and there's a paper behind this that you won't read because no one reads papers. But that's another reason to use interactive tools. And another thing is consider metaphors. I know it kind of sounds silly, but this is a metaphor of a bathtub showing atmospheric dynamics and climate change. Spigot emissions going in, drain is natural sources and removals. The bathtub is going to overflow. As we approach things, if the water is going in faster than it's coming out. But it looks silly, but it got picked up and redone by the National Geographic magazine and published. So these analogies are great for communications. There's a lot of different tools. I will skip that. Real-time decision support to help find the sweet spots. Another thing about using the policies and the models I had is that they can help you see multiple goals. We had that matrix that was mentioned today, XR, I forget the acronym, but matrix of things. We do role play exercises. So if you're really looking for fun, we can actually divide you up into negotiating teams and actually have you negotiate energy policy, agricultural policy, or in this case, the Paris Agreement, where everyone, that table's China, that table's India, that table's the United States, go. And we can enter those into a simulator to get the results of the policy, and then you negotiate. And we've done this across Africa. We did this a ton, and I was here visiting the continent quite a bit in 2014, 2015, leading up to the Marrakesh COP. And then we've done it around the world and it's led by a lot of volunteers, Indonesia, and this is, fifth graders in North Carolina, but it works for all ages and all groups, civil society and private. We do other things where it's like an interactive experience where we cover people with sea level rise, and those people sitting on the ground are from small island states. Why are they sitting on the ground? Well, we actually divide the room where the US and the EU gets a table and chairs and food, and then other people don't. And the people from the lower developed countries sit on the floor. And it creates this whole other power dynamic in the negotiations. And so it's great. And I think I'll just leave it there.